This particular question looks like a duplicate, and it's only because Math Excel doesn't like to let me pick different questions from different textbooks unless I pick one from the current textbook that we're using. So we can skip this question because we already know how to do that. Okay, so we're ignoring that. We're moving on to the next part of this section. So when we're adding functions together, we're going to go through the basic operations of adding and subtracting and multiplying and dividing, mainly adding and subtracting and division, although we can talk about multiplication as well. We will. But adding in this particular case, I need you to understand that this notation is no different than this notation, f of x plus g of x. You know, it looks different, but it's not. So they really want me in part A to add these two functions together. Now, I like to add them up vertically, just like we kind of did in elementary school. Now, what do you mean by that, Mr. Staley? Well, we put our ones in the one column, and then we put our tens, and then our hundreds, and our thousands, just like, you know, when we're adding integers together. So we can do the same thing with polynomials, or these functions. So if I add those together, I obviously get -3, right? I'll just put that over here too. Okay, and then when we add these together, we get 10x. So guess what? We got 10x minus 3. That is the value or the expression that they wanted to add f and g together. Now, how do I find out if I want to do this? So it's true that the notation f of 9 plus g of 9 can be used, right? Because we're going to add these things together. Well, so that would be, did I already do this somewhere over here? Let me back up. No, I did not. Okay. Whoa, I need to move. Come on, slightly. There you go. Okay. Not exactly, but I'll just move this down so it's better. So we really want to put in, and maybe I should just clear it off, we really want to put in 9 into this function. So we can put 9 in here and 9 in here. So we can do 5 times 9 minus 6. We can do 5 times 9 plus 3. And then we can add those things together. That would be the equivalent of saying f of 9 plus g of 9, which is really, it's an okay thing to do. So we've got up here, 5 times 9 is 45. 45 minus 6 is 39. And to that, 5 times 9 is 45. 45 plus 3 is 48. And so then we could add these together. 17. 7 carry the 1 for the 10. And then 7 plus 1 is 8. And so 87 is the sum of those. Now, earlier we had 10x minus 3 here. Could I take the 9 and plug that into here? Well, let's see. 10 times 9 minus 3. That's 90 minus 3. Hey, look, it's the same number. Now, the only problem I can see with that is, what if you make a mistake on this? If you make a mistake on the beginning, that's going to ruin your answer for part B. So I would suggest not doing it. I would suggest doing what I did up here, where I plugged in 9 to the individuals, figured those out, and then added them together. That way, you don't accidentally make a mistake on that other one too. Okay, question 3. For the pair of functions f and g, determine what you get when you add them together. All right, so first we'll do that part. We'll add them together, right? 9x minus 8, right? When you add them together, 9x minus 8. Let me clear that out so I can zoom back out. Whoops. I guess maybe I need to write that down because there's no blank for me to put it in. They're asking me for the domain. Okay. What do we have here? We have y equals 9x minus 8. We've got a y-intercept at -8, slope of 9. Whew, that's pretty steep, right? You know, going up 9 over 1. What are the possible x values? If you take that graph and you just smash it onto the x-axis, Now, just keep in mind, I know it's going up pretty quickly, right? It's going up a real steep angle. But when you start sliding those points down to the x-axis, and it keeps going, it keeps getting kind of wider and wider forever and ever and ever, you're eventually going to cover the entire x-axis. There won't be anything left over. So, now, how do I read that notation? All x's. Now, that little line right there in between is such that. Nobody's going to ask you that at a party. Okay, so you should be okay. All x's such that x is a real number. That is a really fancy way of just saying all real numbers. So, I don't know. They like to get complicated. Not really sure why. Okay, question 4. They want me to add these two functions together. Or, no, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. They want me to subtract them. So f of x minus g of x. F of x minus g of x. All right, so let's see here. I am going to distribute the -1, but I want you to watch something. When I distribute that -1, notice where I put them underneath. Remember I told you I wanted to put them in vertical columns and then add them together? Well, so -1 times 5 is -5. It didn't have anything in its own column, but when I distribute it to the next one, I get positive x. That leaves me with x squared when I add the column together, plus 3x, and a -5. Now, can I plug in, for the next part, can I plug in 9 into the one that I just made? Yes, if you trust yourself. If you think you did it wrong, then you could get the second one wrong. Might as well go back to the beginning, right? Because if f minus g of 9 is the same thing as f9 minus g of 9, why don't we do it this way? Why don't we plug? So we got 9 squared plus 2 times 9 minus 5 minus 9. So 81 plus 18 minus 5 take away 9 is -4. Okay, so 18 and 81, that adds up to 99. We want 99 plus 4, so I got a 103. Sorry, this is going a little bit longer than I wanted. Holy cow, we got more examples than I really wanted in one video. All right, we'll try to go quickly through these other two. So, when I plugged 4 into the f function, 4 squared plus 3 times 4, I ended up with 28. Then when I plugged 4 into the g function, 4 minus 4 gave me 0. 28 times 0, because I'm multiplying the 28 times the 0, and I get 0 as my final answer. But all I'm doing is plugging in 4 to both of those equations, and then taking those two values and multiplying them. On this last example, section 6, we're dividing. The first one is not all that complicated. They want the f function on top, and they want the g function on the bottom. So I did that. Now, they say simplify your answer. I'm going to give you credit if you don't simplify your answer. In this case, it doesn't simplify anyway. We won't talk about simplifying at the moment, but because even if I factored out x plus x and got x minus or x plus 3 on the top, no factors cancel out there. So it's really kind of pointless to me. This is as good as it gets. Okay? You're putting the f on top, the g on the bottom. F, g. Okay? You just follow the order that they tell you. Okay? So that's our answer for this part. Well, what about when they tell me to plug in 7 for the next part? Well, literally, we're going to plug in 7 for f on top, and that's where I got my 49 plus 21. 49 and 21. Now, let's see. 49 and 20. That's 69, and 1 is 70. Okay? So we got 70 on the top, and down here we have minus 6. So 70 over -6 what's that reduced to? Negative 35 halves. So negative 35 over 2 or negative 17.5 if you want a decimal. That'll work as well. Anyway, that's enough for this video. It's way too long.